He had actually doubted it before, but there was no response. He could only give up. Li Xianao and Li Daokong had already entered the calamity. It was too late even if they wanted to retreat. Li Daokong slowly said, "I wonder if your majesty is fighting for yourself or for the sages?" Fang Liang chuckled. "Why ask so clearly? The two of you have been under the protection of the human school and have grown up before you even experienced it. You can actually feel what I want." Li Daokong frowned. Li Xianao was furious. He drew his sword and said, "Fang Liang, you're really arrogant. Do you really think that the two of us are your subordinates?" Fang Liang shook his head and said, "Am I not respectful enough to the two of you? It's just that it involves the sage's plan. I have no right to say anything." Li Daokong turned around. "Junior, let's go." Li Xianao glared at Fang Liang before turning around. After the two of them left, the smile on Fang Liang's face vanished. He clenched his fists in his sleeves, thinking about something. 10 years later, the Hidden Sect's 100-year competition had just ended. Among Hanju's disciples, no one could defeat Li Yao. Jiang Yi fought with Li Yao for a long time. After this battle, he could no longer remain calm. He was the #1 prodigy of the Golden Crow Divine Clan. How could he be caught up by a junior? Most importantly, the other party was only a woman. Xing Hongxian didn't participate in the competition, but she was stunned by the simulation trial. She was very curious about Hanju's cultivation. She had never seen such a mystical power in the human Holy Land. She had heard that Hanju had already reached the zenith heaven realm. Such speed! Too ridiculous! Xing Hongxian was already a prodigy, but she knew that Hanju was younger than her. When the two of them first met, he was still a youth. Hanju didn't pay attention to this 100-year competition. It was organized by Moronqi and there was no reward. However, everyone from the Hidden Sect looked forward to it. On this day, Hanju stopped cultivating and took out the Book of Misfortune. He cursed and checked his emails. Li Daokong was still fighting Jiang Dugu. He had also been severely injured. Hanju couldn't understand the thoughts of the cultivators of the human school. They seemed to be even more excited to hit their own people. This time, Hanju planned to curse Jade Emperor Zhou Yan for 50 billion years. However, Hanju's lifespan had just decreased by 40 billion years when he saw an email. "Because of your curse, your enemy Jade Emperor Zhou Yan suffered an attack from negative karma. His dermic powers surged and his last trace of will was devoured by the heavenly devil. He died and his Tao dissipated." He was finally dead? Hanju hurriedly checked his interpersonal relationships. Jade Emperor Zhou Yan's portrait had completely disappeared. He heaved a sigh of relief. Another 6-star aggro user was killed by him. This was the true path of cultivation. Anyone else could die but myself. Hanju chanted the Tathagata incantation and used it to send Jade Emperor Zhou Yan off. Although Jade Emperor Zhou Yan was already dead, Hanju would feel better if he did this. After all, this was a mighty figure, the immeasurable emperor, a terrifying existence that shook the world. Hanju felt a little sorry for making him die without anyone knowing. This guilt did not last long, though. There was another person to curse now. Great Nine Heavens! Continue cursing. 5 days later, Hanju put down the Book of Misfortune and continued cultivating to break through to the mid-stage Golden Immortal realm. At the same time, the 2 blobs of Fiend Celestial Qi in his body were still constantly absorbing the nebulous primordial Qi in the stellar universe. Apart from the reroll world, these stars had yet to give birth to any living beings. They were like reserves of dermic powers. Hanju had an idea. If this universe of stars formed a living universe, wouldn't he become the heavenly Tao? Was there a possibility that the so-called chaos itself was the body of an unimaginable existence? Thinking of this possibility, Hanju couldn't help but shiver. How strong was such an existence? As a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal, Hanju was not only powerful, but he could also see through many heavenly Tao rules and karmic fate. However, he couldn't sense what was outside the heavenly Tao, like the dark forbidden zone. Once it involved the heavenly Tao, he couldn't sense anything. This was the difference in cultivation level. Perhaps when he became a sage, he would be able to sense existences outside the heavenly Tao. It was said that the deity realm of the ruins of End was hidden in the dark forbidden zone. Hanju had yet to encounter it. Immortal world, human race. On an altar, Zhou Fan stood proudly. Thunderclouds rumbled in the sky, forming a huge and terrifying vortex. Mo Fuzhou and the geniuses of the various races stood below the platform discussing. Brother Zhou is really impressive. He can actually trigger the heavenly Tao. It's said that he has already obtained the human emperor's inheritance. I wonder which human emperor it is. This is the golden age of the human race. With the inheritances of all the past human emperors, we will definitely be able to defeat the heavenly court. Sigh, 10 million people have just died in the 7th level of the battlefield. It's too tragic. Can't both sides negotiate? We can't. It's said that the sages want to change the protagonist of the heavenly Tao. Our human race has been abandoned. Hearing the geniuses' discussion, Mo Fuzhou couldn't help but shake his head. In the battle between the humans and heavenly court, he couldn't say who was right and who was wrong, but both sides had their own ambitions. At this point, it didn't matter who was right or wrong. Zhou Fan suddenly turned to look at Mo Fuzhou and smiled. Brother Mo, what do you think of the heavenly Tao? Can it defeat Hanju? He raised his right hand, and all the heavenly Tao lightning interwove in his palm. At this moment, he was like a god. Mo Fuzhou smiled. Why are you always thinking about winning against him? You obtained so many opportunities, but he has always been in seclusion. It's not fair to think about him again. Zhou Fan was already an immortal emperor and there were very few opponents among the emperor realm. No matter how talented Hanju was, he had always been in seclusion. How could he compare to Zhou Fan? For some reason, I feel that I'm not his match. Zhou Fan shook his head and smiled. He felt that he had been tortured till insanity. Apart from Hanju, he was confident in dealing with anyone, even if they were ancient mighty figures. However, every time he thought of Hanju, he inexplicably lost his confidence. Mo Fuzhou didn't reply. Instead, he looked up at the rolling thunderclouds with envy. He also wanted to be like Zhou Fan, but his providence was inferior and he was not as ruthless. There was once a fortuitous encounter that appeared in front of them. The two of them endured the pain together. He was the first to retreat. Zhou Fan gritted his teeth and endured it until he finally obtained the inheritance. After that, Mo Fuzhou knew that he would never catch up to Zhou Fan. He was also filled with anticipation for him. As long as he survived this immeasurable calamity, Zhou Fan would definitely rise. At that time, they would realize their ambitions. At this moment, a figure flew over on a sword. A powerful aura directly dispersed the heavenly Tao thundercloud. Everyone turned to look. It's Zhao Xianyuan! Someone exclaimed. Everyone became nervous after hearing this name. Zhou Fan turned around and frowned. Zhao Xianyuan was handsome and graceful like an immortal. He came to the top of Zhou Fan's head and said condescendingly, "You, come out with me. I'll give you an opportunity." Zhou Fan frowned. He didn't interact much with Zhao Xianyuan and did not dare to trust him easily. Zhao Xianyuan said expressionlessly, "I can't say for the time being. There are other unparalleled geniuses following you. You're barely qualified. If not for the leader telling me to bring 10 people, I wouldn't think much of you." You! Zhou Fan was furious. This fellow was too pretentious. However, the opportunity tempted him. He had relied on fortuitous encounters to reach this point. He didn't want to miss any opportunity. Zhou Fan saw that Zhao Xianyuan was so arrogant and did not seem like he was lying. Cheaters were usually quite enthusiastic. Zhao Xianyuan's attitude clearly showed that he didn't want Zhou Fan to come. Zhou Fan said, "All right. I'll go. Zhao Xianyuan left after saying, see you in 7 days in front of the eastern wasteland. Mo Fuzhou jumped onto the altar and said in a low voice, you're already so powerful. Why are you still taking the risk? Zhou Fan said calmly, Brother Mo, I can't stop on this path. When I obtain a great opportunity, I'll definitely give you some good stuff. Mo Fuzhou sighed helplessly. Zhou Fan said that every time and kept his promise, so Mo Fuzhou was really worried that something would happen to him. The two of them had experienced too many things together when they fought from the mortal world to the immortal world. Now, they were the most important people to each other. Mo Fuzhou could only look forward to Zhou Fan. He didn't even dare to follow, afraid that he would burden him. Zhou Fan had been implicated by him many times and had even died in his hands. Another 10 years passed. Han Ju was cursing Great Nine Heavens. He hadn't broken through for nearly 600 years, but he couldn't ignore his usual mission. He estimated that he would reach the mid-stage Zenith Heaven realm in less than 100 years. After reaching the mid-stage, would the late stage still be far? After reaching the late stage, would perfection still be a problem? Wouldn't the pseudo-sage stage be in sight? Han Ju tried his best to motivate himself. On this day, he suddenly sensed that someone was summoning him in the chaotic domain. He ignored it and cursed first. For the next 3 days, someone kept summoning him. He only entered the chaotic domain after the curse ended. Zhao Xianyuan and Dao Sovereign immediately rushed over. Fellow Daoist! Brother, you're finally here. Facing the two of them, Han Ju said angrily, you're asking me for help again? Dao Sovereign said, Brother, you've already helped me more than once. If you help me again, I won't forget your kindness. If you need anything in the future, I'll definitely agree, no matter what it is. Zhao Xianyuan sighed and lowered his head. Han Ju asked, how can I help? Dao Sovereign said, help me send a message to Heavenly Emperor Fang. Say that we are trapped in the endless sea of blood and that we have discovered a huge conspiracy that threatens the myriad worlds. Han Ju said, what benefits can I obtain? Where's the Dao literature from last time? Dao Sovereign said helplessly, the Dao runes are too profound. We can't comprehend them for the time being. If we can meet face to face, I can give it to you. I can't teach it now. How about this? If you help us, we'll give you a supreme treasure. This treasure is an extremely mysterious jade slip. Our divine sense can't break through the restriction inside. If we give it to you, you might be able to. And Ju could only say, all right, this is the last time. There won't be a next time. Dao Sovereign smiled. Why? In any case, I'm not putting you in danger. You aren't affected by karma and will directly obtain benefits. Isn't that good? You can also fight for the opportunities without any worries. Zhao Xianyuan added, it's not only us this time. Many geniuses of the human race have been suppressed. This is very important. Han Ju glanced at him and said angrily, are you following him on his wrong ways? I think you should become my disciple and let me educate you. Zhao Xianyuan was embarrassed. He coughed and said, fellow Daoist, you're really funny. He was always very nervous when facing Han Ju. For some reason, he felt that Han Ju was very strong, perhaps even stronger than Dao Sovereign. Dao Sovereign was so powerful and still had to rely on Han Ju to save his life. Most importantly, Dao Sovereign didn't know Han Ju's true identity. Dao Sovereign had heard the Heavenly Emperor mention it before. In any case, the Heavenly Emperor was very protective of Han Ju and didn't reveal anything. It could be seen that Han Ju's status was very high. That's all. Give that treasure to Heavenly Emperor Fang later. Han Ju waved his hand and went off. After returning to the Khanate cave abode, Han Ju took out the Heavenly Dao token and contacted Fang Liang, telling him about Dao Sovereign's request. Fang Liang immediately agreed, not even asking where the endless sea of blood was. The Heavenly Court definitely had a way to find it. Hanju put down the heavenly Dao token and released the strange deity. The strange deity pounced into his arms and rubbed against him affectionately. Hanju smiled softly. Don't be like those guys in the future. They're useless and like to go around looking for trouble. The strange deity tilted its head as if thinking about what Hanju was saying. He continued to cultivate. The water of the endless sea of blood was blood red. At the bottom of the sea was a huge barrier. Dozens of people were meditating inside. Zhao Xianyuan suddenly stood up and said, "Everyone, we've already asked for help. The heavenly court will come and save us soon." A human prodigy asked in surprise, "Isn't divine sense unable to penetrate the barrier?" Dao Sovereign smiled faintly. "Don't forget, we have the chaotic physique. Such a physique has its own domain. Don't worry, the person I entrusted this mission with is very reliable." Another person asked, "We're the prodigies of the human race. Will the heavenly court?" Dao Sovereign interrupted, "Heavenly Emperor Feng is also a human. The battle between the immortal gods and the humans is a battle for providence. You're all pawns and will not be targeted." These words sounded mocking, but they also heaved a sigh of relief. Zhou Fan nodded. He still trusted Feng Liang. He asked curiously, "Who is the person you trust?" Zhao Xianyuan shook his head and said, "That person might be a senior. He's not someone you can understand." Zhou Fan cursed silently. "Stop pretending." Previously, he had sworn that there was a huge opportunity, but in the end, they were all suppressed here. Dao Sovereign closed his eyes and said, "All of you can continue cultivating. There will be a fierce battle next." The geniuses looked at each other. Another 10 years passed. Hanju took out the Book of Misfortune and cursed Great Nine Heavens while checking his emails. He suddenly saw 2 emails. "Your good friend Dao Sovereign was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure. His body was destroyed, leaving only a remnant soul. Your good friend Zhou Fan was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure. His body melted and his soul was tortured, giving birth to mental demons." So tragic? Hanju showed a frown. Feng Liang did not send anyone to save them? Hanju could only mourn for them. In any case, he had already done what he could. He couldn't consume his lifespan for the 2 of them. Zhou Fan would definitely be able to hold on. However, no matter how he looked at it, he felt like Dao Sovereign was a goner this time. Unfortunately, Hanju had yet to see the domineering attitude of Dao Sovereign when he grew up in the future. As long as a prodigy like Dao Sovereign survived, he would definitely become a peerless mighty figure like Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. He might even have a chance to attain the Dao. Everyone had their own fate. If there was a conflict, one would die. Hanju focused on cursing Great Nine Heavens. It had been so long. He wondered how the situation was with this fellow. However, if Great Nine Heavens perished, Hanju's curse would fail. He would sense it, so Great Nine Heavens was still alive. This fellow might be stronger than Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. He wouldn't be cursed to death so easily. Most importantly, this fellow had yet to travel the immortal world, and Hanju couldn't lead him on. To all living beings, they did not know of the existence of Great Nine Heavens. Several days later, Hanju put down the Book of Misfortune and continued cultivating. About 57 years passed. Hanju finally had a chance to break through. He released the strange deity and began to break through. Previously, the strange deity had helped him break through. He didn't know if it would work this time. Breaking through also required time. After 9 years, Hanju finally broke through. The dermic powers in the Zenith Heaven Dao fruit began to increase. Hanju could clearly feel his body and soul transforming. This feeling was extremely wonderful. As he consolidated his cultivation, he checked his attributes panel. Name, Hanju. Race, Primordial Fiend Celestial. Cultivation, Mid-Stage Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm. Technique, Primordial Chaos Reincarnation Great Dao. Heavenly Cycle Body Tempering. Great Dao of Life and Death, Great Dao of Karma. His lifespan had nearly tripled. Hanju felt extremely lonely looking at this long string of nines. With such a long lifespan, who can pursue the Great Tao with me? He would give Great Nine Heavens 500 billion years of lifespan later. This would celebrate his breakthrough. 500 billion years was nothing to him. Hanju even wanted to give Great Nine Heavens a trillion years worth of curses. But he rejected this thought. He couldn't act recklessly. Once he developed a habit, it would be troublesome. Moreover, Great Nine Heavens was only a potential danger and couldn't harm him for the time being. 3 years later, Hanju's cultivation stabilized at the mid-stage Zenith Heaven realm. He began to improve his various Sword Dao mystical powers and spent another year. Hanju continued to cultivate the Grand Unity aspect. The inherited memories were indeed loosened. A memory of a mystical power surged into Hanju's mind. The third Fiend Celestial Dharma Idol. Wind-shaking Fiend Celestial. The Great Tao of Wind swept through everything. Every Fiend Celestial Dharma Idol represented a Great Tao. However, Hanju couldn't directly cultivate his Great Tao through them for the time being. He could only obtain their power. 5 years later, Hanju completely grasped Wind-shaking Fiend Celestial. With the 3 Fiend Celestials combined, Hanju felt invincible. Heavenly Constellation Fiend Celestial, 9 Fiend Celestial, Wind-shaking Fiend Celestial. Hanju started the simulation trial. Against the Heavenly Emperor, insta-kill. Against Li Daokong, insta-kill. Against Xue Mingdi, insta-kill. Against the Demon Emperor, insta-kill. Against the Heavenly Tao Buddha, insta-kill. Against the Master of the Divine Palace, insta-kill. Killing them instantly was too satisfying. Once the 3 Fiend Celestial Dharma Idols appeared, no one else could compare to him. A Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal could fight for 10 million rounds in a breath. The so-called insta-kill was actually not necessarily a one-hit kill. Apart from a few mighty figures, Hanju could instantly kill anyone at the Zenith Heaven realm. Facing an existence with unknown cultivation, Hanju found it very difficult. Every pseudo-sage expert had their own great mystical powers and supreme treasures. They were difficult to kill in a short period of time. The battle often lasted for more than an hour, so Hanju couldn't be bothered to continue. In his opinion, if he couldn't defeat the enemy after an hour, it was no different from being defeated. If he really encountered such a situation and the enemy had an accomplice, wouldn't he be in trouble? Hanju couldn't allow himself to encounter such a situation. Hanju tried to challenge Ancestor Shitian, but he died with a roar from the ladder. Everyone below the sages was an ant. Hanju didn't become upset. He occasionally tested himself against such extraordinary powers to raise his alertness. Then, he took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing Great Nine Heavens. Heavenly Court, Imperial Garden. Great Nine Heavens and Fang Liang were discussing the calamity in the pavilion when his expression suddenly changed. Fang Yang asked, "What's wrong?" Great Nine Heavens said, "Nothing." He didn't dare to say that he was being cursed by the Dark Forbidden Lord. If that was the case, how could he persuade Fang Liang? Several days later, Great Nine Heavens was in his room. He circulated his energy to heal his injuries, but the Dark Forbidden Lord's curse was becoming stronger and stronger. Why has this fellow's curse power become stronger again? Great Nine Heavens frowned. The uneasiness in his heart intensified. In the past, the Dark Forbidden Lord had only cursed for 5 days. This time, it came menacingly and had already lasted for more than 5 days. The thought of Jade Emperor Zhou Yan's miserable outcome made him even more uneasy. No! He couldn't wait for death. Great Nine Heavens immediately jumped out of the 9th heaven and flew towards the 33rd heaven. Boom! Great Nine Heavens suddenly spat out blood from his 7 orifices. This blood was formed by his dermic powers, causing his essence to be greatly damaged. Oh no! I have to hurry up. Great Nine Heavens' expression changed drastically as he hurriedly penetrated the layers of heavenly Tao restrictions. Inside the Khanate cave abode, Hanju saw that his lifespan had been deducted by 300 billion years and couldn't help but stop. No, I can't curse blindly like this. Hanju decided to give Great Nine Heavens a dream and let him develop hatred. Only then would he know his exact situation. Soon, the two of them entered the dream realm. The pale Great Nine Heavens saw the black shadow in front of him, and his expression instantly darkened. Dark Forbidden Lord? Upon seeing the other party's appearance, he immediately guessed his identity. He looked around and discovered that this was a dream. What mystical power is this? I didn't sense it before and was forcefully pulled in. Great Nine Heavens was terrified. From the looks of it, the Dark Forbidden Lord was definitely stronger than him. He had to eliminate him. Great Nine Heavens has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, full stars. Hanju immediately ended the dream when he saw this line of words. In a huge palace, Great Nine Heavens suddenly woke up. A figure sat in front of him. His entire body was glowing with a strong light, making it impossible to see his true appearance. What happened just now? Why were you lost in thought? The strong figure asked. Great Nine Heavens replied, the Dark Forbidden Lord visited me in my dreams. Wait! Did the sage not notice this just now? Check out LTSDVL on NOVL CM. The reason why the Dark Forbidden Lord directly removed the dream was that he sensed a sage beside him. In an instant, Great Nine Heavens trembled. What kind of terrifying existence had he provoked? Could it be that the Dark Forbidden Lord was a sage? The reason why he did not dare to show himself was not because he was afraid of attracting endless trouble, but because it would damage his dignity. The more Great Nine Heavens thought about it, the more panicked he became. Oh? Dream visit? The strong figure began to deduce with his fingers. The dream just now was too short and the two of them didn't communicate earlier, so the strong figure didn't capture Hanju's mystical power. He couldn't deduce anything now. He didn't suspect that Great Nine Heavens was lying. Thus, it could only mean one thing. The Dark Forbidden Lord was very strong. Which sage is secretly plotting something? The strong figure muttered. Great Nine Heavens was almost scared out of his wits. He was really a sage. Great Nine Heavens panicked when he thought of the terrifying scene of the Dark Forbidden Lord cursing him. Because the previous session had just ended, his lifespan decreased after he began cursing again. E by billion years of lifespan. Zhe by billion years of lifespan. It had already taken 500 billion years in total, but Great Nine Heavens was still fine. Hanju didn't believe in failure and continued cursing. After spending another 50 billion years of his lifespan, Hanju finally saw an email. Your enemy Great Nine Heavens has developed mental demons because of your curse. Fortunately, the sage used his Dao voice to protect his mind. Sage? Hanju immediately put down the Book of Misfortune. No wonder there was no result with the curse. This fellow was actually hiding beside a sage. Great! I want to see if you can hide forever. Hanju thought silently, but his heart was bleeding. 5 by billion years. How many times could he predict the future with this? Great! Hanju thought silently, I want to know, which sage is protecting Great Nine Heavens? He didn't dare to curse a sage directly, but if he encountered this sage in the future, he would definitely stay far away and not be fooled. Sages spoke without emotions. It was difficult to guess their emotions and was very easy to scare others. 3 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. South Extreme Heavenly Venerate, Cultivation Unknown. Heavenly Dao Sage, Sect Master of the Chan School, Immeasurable Emperor. Sect Master of the Chan School. Hanju wasn't surprised. After all, Great Nine Heavens was from the Chan School. The Chan School had always been mysterious. It was located in Kunlun, and they did not participate in the conflict. Occasionally, they could even organize a grand event and stir up a storm in the immortal world. It wasn't easy to waste such a force. At least, it was stronger than the intercepting sect. Previously, the GS school had invaded the Heavenly Court and suffered a crushing defeat. The two couldn't be compared. Hanju stood up and stretched before walking out of the cave abode. He had just broken through, so he naturally had to treat the people around him well. Hanju decided to preach the Tao for 10 years. It was very rare for a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal to preach the Tao even in the immortal world. Heavenly Court, Imperial Garden. Fang Liang and the Divine General sat opposite each other. Ji Xianshan was cultivating a mystical power not far away. The Divine General glanced at Ji Xianshan and asked, "Where's the Chan School's supremacy? He hasn't appeared recently. Are you going back on your word?" Fang Liang said, "I don't know what he's doing. We can't trust the Chan School completely. I've received information that the Endless Sea of Blood is hiding a mighty figure of the devil race. I'm worried that the humans and the Heavenly Court will fight until the end and the devil race will benefit from it. What does His Majesty want me to do? Call the Heavenly God General and lead 1,000,000 heavenly troops to reinforce the 3 emperors. Then, the Heavenly Court. Don't worry, I have someone to teach you." "All right." Fang Liang nodded and gestured for the Divine General to leave. Fang Liang looked at Ji Xianshan and said, "Do you remember Zhou Fan? This kid is trapped in the Endless Sea of Blood." Ji Xianshan said indifferently, "He's a traitor. Why should I remember him?" Fang Liang shook his head and laughed. "You can't say that he's a traitor. If the Heavenly Court loses, you can also join him. I've already told him." Hearing this, Ji Xianshan stopped and turned to look at him. He frowned and asked, "The Heavenly Court is so powerful, but it will still lose?" "The Heavenly Court is indeed powerful, but it is not united, and I am not the one who controls it. Do you understand?" "True. When the foundation of the tall building is all gone, won't the building still collapse? Those who live at the top of the building will suffer even more." Fang Liang looked melancholic. He no longer had the domineering aura from before. He felt that he was definitely the weakest heavenly emperor in history. It wasn't that his potential was poor, but that he had ascended too early and was facing the immeasurable calamity. If he was given time, he was confident that he could become the strongest heavenly emperor. Ji Xianshan said, "If you really can't, go back and find your grandmaster. He definitely has a way to protect you." Fang Liang smiled and said, "I know, but I want to fight. I don't want to wander around. We know best what we've suffered. Don't you want to stand at the peak of the world?" Unknowingly, he started speaking like before he became the Heavenly Emperor. It was as if he had returned to the past. Fang Liang. Ji Xianshan clenched his fists and cursed, "Of course, I want to. If not for our bad luck, given 1,000,000 years, we would definitely be invincible." To be honest, other than Hanju, Ji Xianshan looked down on everyone. Even Fang Liang felt inferior to him. He should be the strongest existence. However, he encountered the immeasurable calamity. Let's wait and see. If the two of us succeed, we will be the players in the next immeasurable calamity. Fang Liang said in high spirits. His eyes burned as if he could see his grand ambitions being realized. Ji Xianshan smiled like a spring breeze. It was rare that he was not so overbearing. In the blink of an eye, another 40 years passed. On this day, Hanju had just finished cursing Great Nine Heavens when he walked out of the cave abode and came to the Fusong tree. Recently, he had sensed that the Fusong tree was producing Kanate Qi faster and faster. Something was happening. "How do you feel?" Hanju asked. The others looked at him. They didn't sense him walking out of the cave abode and couldn't help but be surprised. The Fusong tree replied, "I don't know why. I've been feeling warm recently as if I'm about to break through." It did not sound pained but puzzled. Hanju raised his eyebrows. After this Fusong tree grew, it could connect to the myriad worlds in the universe. Could it be that it was about to succeed? Wasn't it going to take 1,000,000 years? Could it be that it referred to 1,000,000 years of the mortal world, but the spirit chi in Hidden Sect Island had doubled and accelerated its growth? Hanju deduced with the derivation function. 100 million years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. The Fusong tree is about to mature. The rules of space and time are brewing. Hanju's eyes lit up. He was very curious about which world the Fusong tree would connect to. Hanju said, "You're about to grow up. At that time, you will connect to other worlds. You have to control it a little. Don't open the door of time and space rashly." The Fusong tree shook its branches and said, "Am I that powerful?" The others gathered around. Chu Shuren rubbed his chin and said, "The Fusong tree needs 1,000,000 years to grow, but the spirit chi in the island is even richer than the holy lands of the immortal world. It can indeed grow faster." Morochi asked curiously, "Connect to other mortal worlds?" Chu Shuren shook his head and said, "Not necessarily. It might be an unknown world. Other than the myriad worlds below the immortal world, there are actually countless mysterious and unknown worlds hidden, just like the deity realm of the ruins of End and the ancient desolate that mighty figures often mention." Everyone began to discuss. Hanju was worried that it would attract a mighty figure and asked in his mind, "I want to know, will there be an existence stronger than me in the world that the Fusong tree is about to connect to? 1,000,000,000 years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue?" "Continue." "Yes." Hanju's eyelids twitched. F Xinghao CK. Wasn't this sending an enemy to their doorstep? As long as the other party was stronger than Hanju, he could be an enemy and threaten his safety. Hanju had to be on guard. He asked, "Can you control the power in your body?" The Fusong tree replied, "No." When Hanju heard that, he immediately transferred Lu Bu and Mao Chao over to guard in front of the Fusong tree. It was rare to see him in such a panic. Could it be that the world connected to the Fusong tree was not simple? Everyone was on high alert. Liao asked, "Sect Master, is it dangerous? Should we cut down the tree?" The Fusong tree shook violently. "No! No!" It shouted in fear. It felt that Liao was so terrifying. She actually wanted to cut it down immediately. Hanju was deep in thought. The black hell chicken glared at Liao and scolded, "If you cut it down, where will we stay?" The golden crow, Ada, and Xiao nodded. Their nest was still on the Fusong tree, so they didn't want to cut it down. More and more disciples gathered. Hanju asked in his heart, "How long until the Fusong tree connects to other worlds?" 10,000,000 years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. 3890 days. So precise? Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. He left Lu Bu and Mao Chao at the Fusong tree and returned to his cave abode. Dao Comprehension Sword suddenly followed him. After the two of them entered the cave abode, Hanju asked, "What is it?" Dao Comprehension Sword followed behind and chuckled. "Master, shouldn't you help me? I feel that I'm just a step away from reaching the Emperor realm." After learning the Heavenly Sword Dao, Dao Comprehension Sword's cultivation level had been advancing by leaps and bounds. Her potential was already very strong, and she was already very close to the Emperor realm. Hanju sat on the 36th grade Reincarnation World Destruction Black Lotus and sized her up. He said, "Your Heavenly Sword Dao is very strong, but not strong enough. If you become the strongest person below the Emperor realm in the next 100-year competition, I will personally help you reach the Emperor realm." Dao Comprehension Sword's expression changed slightly, but she did not refute. Instead, she promised, "All right. I will definitely do it." Hanju waved his hand and gestured for her to leave. Dao Comprehension Sword stood up and looked at him. She wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, she still left. Hanju touched his face and muttered, "I almost forgot that my appearance is unparalleled. This grass has grown up and actually has improper thoughts about me." It seemed that his charm had increased. Hanju smiled and continued cultivating. 10 years later, Hanju couldn't sit still anymore. He felt that the Fusang tree could connect to other worlds at any time. Hanju couldn't cultivate in peace. Since it was not time yet, he would curse Great Nine Heavens. After so many years, could this fellow still be by the sage's side? VSETN Liu, VLBIN. For the best novel reading experience, wouldn't the sage find him annoying? Hanju cursed slowly. 5 days later, his lifespan began to decrease. Because he didn't inject much dermic power, the strength of the curse was average, so the speed at which his lifespan decreased was also slow. Finally, the Fusang tree matured. Hanju hurriedly put down the Book of Misfortune and teleported in front of it. The disciples of the hidden sect looked up. They were all very nervous. Hanju had transferred Lu Bu and Ma Chao over and was clearly waiting. His gaze landed on a branch of the Fusang tree. This branch was located in the middle of the Fusang tree and was connected to a silver vortex. It was dazzling. There! Hanju immediately brought the 2 guards to the silver vortex. He probed with his divine sense and passed through a long spatial tunnel. His divine sense broke through a cloud and mist and saw a vast world. This world was located in absolute darkness. It was like a bright sun that emitted endless light. Hanju felt many powerful auras and hurriedly retracted his divine sense. Hanju asked, "Can you close this world portal?" The Fusang tree replied, "No." Liao couldn't help but say, "Chop the tree." The others agreed. Of course, most of them were joking. The Fusang tree shivered in fear and shook off many leaves. Hanju asked in his mind, "Can the Dao field cover the entrance of this tunnel?" The Dao field could block the prying of the heavenly Dao. If it could block this entrance, how could the living beings on the other side discover it? Yes. Hanju heaved a sigh of relief when he saw a word appear in front of him. However, he was still worried. He looked at Ma Chao and said, "From today onwards, you will guard this place. No one is allowed to go through it." Ma Chao immediately accepted the order. Lu Bu was called back by Hanju and continued to guard the hidden sect island's beach. Hanju began to remind the others not to send their divine sense into the spatial vortex. There are many experts hidden in that world. There are even my enemies. Once they discover us, we will all die, Hanju said seriously. Everyone promised. Chu Shuren muttered to himself, could it be the deity realm of the ruins of End? The black hell chicken shouted, "Master, Chu Shuren might act recklessly, quickly lock him up." Swish! Everyone looked at Chu Shuren. Chu Shuren's expression changed drastically. He waved his hand and said, "I'm just guessing. How can I act recklessly?" Hanju looked at him suspiciously. Is this fellow very interested in the deity realm of the ruins of End? Sensing his gaze, cold sweat broke out on Chu Shuren's forehead. He hurriedly said, "Grandmaster, don't listen to the stupid chicken. I don't want to go out." "Really? If you don't believe me, let Ma Chao keep an eye on me." Hanju nodded at him and left. Chu Shuren heaved a sigh of relief and looked fiercely at the black hell chicken. The black hell chicken hid behind the black hell demon lord and said smugly, "Who asked you to always interrupt our words? You sound like you know the most." Chu Shuren said angrily, "You've never gone out. Isn't it good for me to let you broaden your horizons?" The others hooted, feeling that the black hell chicken was too annoying. It had to be said that Hanju's gaze was too intimidating. Even Jiang Yi thought that Hanju wanted to suppress Chu Shuren just in case. Back in the cave abode, Hanju sat in the 36th grade reincarnation world Destruction Black Lotus and asked curiously, which world is the Fusang tree connected to? 100 million years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. A mere 100 million was really cheap. Kiliacosm world, a heavenly Dao world. It was created by the sage of the human school. Because of the immeasurable calamity, it was separated by the sage and hidden in the dark forbidden zone. It has a strong providence and is far from the heavenly Dao immeasurable calamity. It wasn't the deity realm of the ruins of End, but the Kiliacosm world created by the sage of the human school. Hanju was puzzled. Since the human school had its own world, why did it want to fight for providence in the immortal world? Could it be that the immortal world had some restriction on the heavenly Tao sages? Thinking about it carefully, ancestor Shitian, Dijuan, and other extraordinary existences did not seem to be interested in the immortal world or the heavenly Tao. Hanju was secretly glad that he didn't agree to Nuo's request. It must have been a trap. Of course, to most living beings, becoming a heavenly Tao sage was a luxury and a fantasy. Hanju was still confident. If he was given time, he would surpass the heavenly Tao sages sooner or later. Li Muyu wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? A line of words suddenly appeared in front of him. Li Muyu was the current sect master of the human school, but he was not a heavenly Tao sage. Why was he sending a dream? Could it be because Hanju had probed the Kiliacosm world with his divine sense? Hanju pretended not to see it. An hour later. Li Muyu wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? Ignore! The next morning. Li Muyu wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? Hanju was speechless. Did these sages not care about their reputation? So persistent.